One approach to music is to do whatever you want. Absolutely anything goes. But to me, that's too free. It's anti-inspiring because having infinite options is overwhelming. Another approach to music is to follow tradition. You stay within the guidelines of a genre or style. But to me, that's too strict and sad. It was someone else's innovation. To imitate it now with rules and recipes is just nostalgia. It's uninspired and dishonest. So my favorite approach to music is in between. You make up your own rules and apply them to a piece of music. You know what this is called? An experiment. Experiment with limitations. Write a piece using only 2 instruments and 5 notes. Write a lyric using only nouns and no verbs. Experiment with textures. Record an arrangement using only children's toys or samples of birds. Experiment with density. Write a piece featuring 50 instruments, then do a solo piece using only your left hand. I loved learning and applying specific techniques. Like I'd learn a certain way of developing a melody, then go write melodies using that method. I'd learn about reharmonizing, where you keep the same melody but change the chords underneath, completely changing the mood. Then I'd go apply that to all my songs. Techniques to build tension, techniques to change time. With each new thing I learn, I have to try it and make something. It might not even sound good, but that's okay. The goal was just to see what happens, so there's no way to fail. It's all just fertilizer for future creations. I'm not an active musician anymore, but now I find that the way I approached music is the way I approach life. After I sold my company and life was a blank slate, I found that having too much freedom was overwhelming. But I'm not going to buy into an ism and follow a set of ancient rules, so instead, I do experiments. I make up rules and apply them to my life for a while. Like, experiment with limitations, fear, detachment, or my definition of home. Experiment with fame, boundaries, expanding, quitting, or my self-image. Experiment with vulnerability, commitment, saying yes or saying no. I usually try the opposite of whatever I did before. I still love learning and applying specific techniques. Techniques for conversation, techniques to stretch time. I'm glad I know how to reharmonize because there are melodies in my past that I can't change, but I can change the thoughts underneath. With each new thing I learn, I have to try it. It might not even feel good, but that's what experimenting is about. The goal is still to see what happens, so there's no way to fail. I've always used freedom as the compass to guide my decisions. We moved a lot when I was a kid. I lived in 5 states and countries by the time I was 5. I left home at 17 and went off to college as far away as I could. I joined a circus for 10 years. Then I quit my last job in 1992, vowing to make a living making music and never have a job again. A few years after I started my company, I delegated all of my responsibilities, making myself unnecessary to the operations of my company so that I was free to go anywhere and do anything. My email was filtered by the customer service staff. Hardly any needed my personal reply, so I was free to go days without checking email. I gave nobody my phone number and said no to all meeting requests, so I was free to work on my own schedule with no appointments to interrupt. I gave away most of my stuff, including my entire recording studio, to my employees, so all I had left were some clothes and my laptop, free to travel lightly. I eliminated all physical mail, setting necessary bills and electronic payments. I had tax forms go to my accountant. I was free to move without notice. So I moved to London for a year, just because I could. I hardly told anyone I was gone. Most people still thought I was in Portland. Then I went to San Francisco for a few months, India for a month, Iceland for a month. Friends back home would say, "So what'd you do in Iceland?" I'd say, same as you. Same thing I'd be doing anywhere else. Just programming, writing, working, reading, living the laptop life. Location agnostic. Switching countries was like switching rooms in your house. Why not go sit in the den for a while? Why not do some writing in the kitchen for a change? How about the backyard? How about Berlin for a while? Brazil, Buenos Aires, Beijing. It's a big world. Why not do my work in each of these places? I could be anywhere, but I didn't have to be anywhere. But even though I had freedom of location, I still had some responsibilities to my company, like CEO owner type stuff. And I was still the main programmer, so in all of these places I'd still be working mostly on the back-end programming, improving the site and service. My company grew 1,000% while I was gone, from 2002 to 2008. But once I left for good in 2008, I really had no more responsibilities at all, and I might never again. I had done it. I'd reached the final destination of my lifelong pursuit of freedom. It was awesome and overwhelming. So, wow, now what? Where do you go when you can be anywhere and don't have to be anywhere? What do you do when you can do anything and don't have to do anything? What if you had no ties, nothing holding you to any one place? What if you had unlimited plane tickets? What if you never had to work again? Is there such a thing as too much freedom? Cross the world 4 times. First, in your teens or 20s, to take it all in. See it all, do it all, and learn. Get involved. Stay up all night talking with strangers everywhere. Kiss and fall and promise to them all. Make lots of mistakes. Cross the world the first time to fall in love. The second time, in your 30s, to tell everyone what you've learned. You're full of answers since you've done so much. You know how things should be since you've made all your mistakes. You can see the path clearly, and it's your turn to lead. Cross the world the second time to make change. The third time, in your 50s, to compensate. You realize what a blowhard you were in your 30s and how little you actually know. You've been humbled. It's time to make up for years of thinking others were wrong. Pay close attention and listen without judgment for once. Have no answers, only good questions and good ears. Cross the world the third time to unlearn. The fourth time, late in life, to witness. To find old friends and find that they're gone. To see what's changed and what's stayed the same. To appreciate the young. The world is theirs, not yours. Now you know what happens when you die. Everything. Evolution, revolution, inventions, disasters, so much love and so many lives. You just won't be part of it anymore. Cross the world the last time to say goodbye. I don't know why I have this rebellious nature. I tend to want to be the opposite of my surroundings. At serious formal events, I can't stop laughing inside. At crazy festivals, I want to hide and read a book. My ambitious friends bring out the slacker in me. My lethargic friends make me feel like Superman. When I moved to Boston as a teen and everyone was wearing black, I dressed in only white. I remind New Agey people of the scientific method. Is it a desire for balance? To represent what seems underrepresented in this situation? Is it my love of seeing the other side? I hear I'm not supposed to react like this. I'm supposed to be the same no matter what's around. But I'm not the same from day to day, even when alone. I rebel against myself, too. If I've been thinking or acting one way for too long, I try another way. It's worked pretty well for me so far. I'm super motivated by the horror of seeing the opposite of what I want. Seeing someone waste their talent motivates me to get back to practicing and creating. Seeing a person in horrible health motivates me to be healthy. Seeing someone freaking out motivates me to be calm. Seeing someone being selfish motivates me to be generous. The list goes on. It's been net positive, so I'm not fighting it for now. But P.S., I'll never argue against preserving nature. I wanted to learn about the world, so I went traveling. People in the East are so graceful, I felt like an inconsiderate pig. People up north are so serious, I felt like a lightweight clown. People down south are so laid back, I had to escape north again. The way we define ourselves is all relative to our surroundings, right? However we differ from the people in our hometown is how we define ourselves. That's where we shape our self-identity growing up. Those are our defining traits. But when we go to a different place, the relative comparisons collapse. Traits like speed, ambition, independence, bravery, and humor, they're all relative. Back home, I'm considered quiet. Here, I'm considered loud. Back home, I'm a slacker. Here, I'm a workaholic. Back home, I'm normal. Here, I'm strange, or maybe it's vice versa. So how do I define myself now? I always want to know why a culture is this way. What's the difference? What are its core beliefs? So I ask questions and observe. On the surface and from a distance, I see their actions. But deeply and closely, I see my reactions. I want to learn about the world, so I keep traveling. About the world, I learn a bit. About myself, I learn a lot.